Anytime I find a unique piece of glass, I always try to figure out how I can make it into a terrarium. And I think this one will be perfect for a cactus centerpiece. I'll start by building a drainage layer made from aquarium sand, and I'll use a long paintbrush to spread it out. And I'll give the whole thing a little shimmy to level everything out. I'm building up different layers of colored sand to create a design in the drainage layer. And that's a little bit harder to do on the left side because I am not left-handed. Then I'll level out any high spots with my paintbrush. Then I'm adding another layer of tan sand. When building up different layers of colored sand, I don't recommend having a white layer of sand next to your soil layer because when you water the terrarium, it could leach out into the sand and discolor it. And once that layer is all leveled out, I'll add my cactus and succulent soil mix. For my hardscape, I'll be adding this grapewood vine. I like to add it ahead of time so I know where to place my plants. Then I can prep my cactus. I know I wanted to use this ripsalis and the fence post cactus together because they both have this shade of purple up top and I think they'll coordinate nicely. I'll also be using the silver ball cactus to bring out the white in the fence post cactus. To prep the cactus, I'll remove excess soil and then trim back the roots, making it easier to plant them into the terrarium. I'll also use a brush to clean them up. For the ripsalis, again, I'll just remove excess soil and clean it up with a brush. The silver ball cactus has all these beautiful pups, and I'll just remove a pup and you can see that they already have roots growing. And I'll just clean that up with my brush. Because of this terrarium's strange shape, planting the cactus was a little tricky. I used my long tweezers from one side and a paintbrush from the other side to carefully plant the cactus. I planted a smaller fence post cactus on the left to help balance out the arrangement. Then I added the ripsalis in front of the grapewood vine where there was a little nook created by a bend in the wood. Then I covered all the soil with another layer of sand as a top dressing to really give it that desert-scape vibe. I unburied the grapewood vine from the extra sand, and then I added my silver ball cactus pups. I like to add these after the top dressing just so they don't get covered in the sand. I like to add these in little clusters. And I balanced out the cluster on the left with a little cluster on the right. I'll be adding a couple of these larger stones throughout the terrarium to help balance out the design. I'll also be adding some smaller stones for additional visual interest, and I'll just use my paintbrush to scatter them throughout the arrangement. I'll make sure to keep this in bright, direct light so that this cactus centerpiece can thrive.